It rains or it gets chilly for a few nights, and he's like, we're gonna have an early dinner.
I hope he's right.
Well, I don't mind it. No, except I would like my landscaping to get
You
a
need your
little
landscape.
more established, yeah.
My tomatoes are hating this weather. There's not enough sun.
Do you ever get tomatoes?
Last year I got a ton.
Do you have a greenhouse?
No, just a little garden in the backyard.
Oh, because ours get tomatoes, but then they just sit there.
Yeah.
We
Are
had
you
cherry
doing the big ones?
No, we're,
If you're doing full size ones, you won't get them.
we had cherry tomatoes. We
Cherry
had
tomatoes are
three. One fell off, so. 3 cherry tomatoes is not that hard.
That's not.
And the other ones are, I'm not sure Jason brought the plates too, it smells like.
If
So,
they're
yeah.
big ones, you won't have. them.
Jalapeno peppers are doing really good though.
Mine are smothered.
If the raccoons don't eat them.
Yeah, I've got a net over them, so.
I know they pick it and then when they're carrying it in the mouth, they go, "Oh." And then,
But still, it's
so
good.
they don't eat it, yeah, so I'm not gonna eat it after the raccoons carried it in its mouth.
You know, I got a net that keeps everything out of it.
They have to put up some kind of little greenhouse thing. Okay, well, Betsy, I didn't finish telling you that the woman at Home Depot in Evergreen, she saw my, something brought out Georgetown, and she goes, "Oh, do you live in Georgetown?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "Do you know people?" And I was like, "Yes."
We're not allowed to know people.
They let me out sometimes. And so she said, "Well, she's kind of new." And I said, "Well, probably, who is it?" So she says, "Betsy Blakely." I was like, "Yes, I like Betsy." So I have her card in my purse, and I brought it one time. And
Is this like just me wondering?
she worked there.
Oh, she worked.
So she had chatted with you
Hey, hi.
and just wanted.
Well, if you look at my yard, you have like 50 billion.
Yeah, so anyway, I have it, and it says
How's it going?
retired and available for lunch on her card. So I will bring it for you. I can't remember her name now, but she was working part-time there, so. Are we almost-
Add something short to do.
Okay,
And I'll just put on the agenda, Cindy's email that she wanted to discuss about
is she not?
Martin. I think she'll be here, but
Oh, okay.
I don't know, I saw her earlier.
So,
I just realized I forgot. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's getting a little.
That's what I'm
Trying to pour
trying
concrete all week.
We have enough, right?
The concrete truck finally came today at 3:00. The rain came at 3:00. So before
Okay, we'll give them a couple more minutes. Usually it's me coming in the last second. So Sean, Sean.
But it's good.
I know. What do you think? Another week?
I gotta try and get this bathroom done.
Okay. Oh, God. So they need a bathroom more than my window?
Yeah.
Okay, so not next week.
I don't, if it is, it'd be towards the end of the year.
That's fine. And
I
then.
get it filed next week.
Yeah, this is
Those,
like.
functions of Broadway?
Oh,
Yeah, they're kind of really in the way. And I would have gotten it a long time ago, but I thought you wanted them, so if you have a chance. Okay, that'd be great.
I'll try and get those tomorrow.
Oh, cool, okay.
Stick a board part that, that's one thing.
Yeah, just say, hey, listen, something's come up. We'll be back. You still got that?
Well, actually, yes, we're there.
Oh, it is, okay.
Well, buddy, yeah, but that's not fun. Okay, well, let's go ahead and start. And if you'll take the roll, please. Yeah.
Joan Eaton.
Sean
Sean Levitt. Here. Cindy Neely. Betsy Blakely. Here. Mark Reynolds. Bob Hamilton.
Yeah.
Joan Dancer.
Okay, oh, I need to ask you a question. Can we get approval of the agenda? We're adding Cindy's comments on Martin's memo about lot size. And
Yes,
I just need to ask you about this.
To give you a short report on the staff release conference that I attended.
Okay.
So,
And you had asked me if I could do inspections over there, but like, was somebody supposed to contact me? Was I supposed to?
They contact the town.
Oh, okay, because I thought, did I?
I haven't heard anything either.
Okay.
Usually,
Okay. All right, can we get approval of the agenda, please?
move to approve the agenda with the amendments.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody in the audience here for business that is not on the agenda? Okay. And so moving right along, we'll go to Chris and Jeanette Peterson. And Chris, you're gonna come on up? Can come up and take this seat here.
I don't have any technical things. I have John from Oregon Solar.
Oh, okay. Okay, do you want him to come up then and kind of go? Okay,
Okay. Speak to
sure.
the installation and anything.
All righty,
Pertinent to this project.
take the hot seat, please.
Would you say your name again?
Don Parker, DON.
And the address of the project that we're doing. 120713. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
All right, and then we're pretty familiar with the solar projects. Do you have any particulars to tell us about or describe it?
Well, just that I think it looked good and it's good for the environment and it'll be good for the Petersons too.
Mhm.
It'll be flush mounted. I think that's one of the, maybe the only criteria here.
And non-reflective,
Excuse me,
non-reflective.
non-reflective, yes.
Okay.
Will it be installed as the engineering shows on there in a rectangular pattern and not with the stair step or anything like that? Because a lot of times they'll show us this and then they'll leave gaps in it and that always looks really bad.
Okay, I actually forgot my paperwork.
Well, this is what you submitted.
Okay, that looks familiar, so yeah, that's
If it's,
the way it'll be.
because we'll see that a lot of times and then it'll end up being a stair step that looks.
I understand, yeah, or, you know, if there's a vent or something, sometimes people lose a gap there,
And that looks bad.
but, there's no, is there? are
Once we
there
visited.
gaps
I
or-
don't think
Big
it's
pile of
really out
work.
there.
You know,
I think
resource.
take a look at the whole layout.
No,
There's pretty
vents.
clear ahead.
Okay, so.
Okay.
There won't be any,
No
there won't
gaps.
be any gaps or
Okay.
stair steps, it'll just be a straight
It'll be
rectangle.
installed as shown.
Excuse me,
It'll be installed as shown.
as shown, correct.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
You said it's flat to the roof, like 6 inches above the roof or something
Well,
like that?
that's about right, yeah, and then we put a squirrel guard or pigeon guard around it to keep critters out.
And same slope as the roof.
Exactly. Yes.
And all the stuff that is used to mount it there is all flat black.
Correct.
Anybody have sightings?
Page 86.
And book 3?
And book.
Chapter 7. Facilities.
You said book 3.
Yes. It's chapter 10, section 7, yes. E.
That it?
A is minimize the visual impacts of utilities and service equipment.
Okay.
So since this sits flat to the roof, it would
And then E1 also, like flush, with E1.
And maybe A6, the matte finish, the non-reflective finish, the
Yes.
black. And yeah, it's gotta be not particularly visible to anybody.
Mhm. I'm sorry, what was that?
It's gonna not be visible to anyone particularly.
Pretty much, that's right, because of the location.
Yes.
That's right.
And then E is all about solar devices. E1 to cast the building so it like there should be laid flush with the roof line, which it does.
Yes.
Okay.
That pretty much covers it.
Your motion?
Make a motion to approve, signs stated.
I'll second.
Any more discussion, audience comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Do I need to signed or?
This will be in the office tomorrow, so you can get a copy. This is just a Is there Hey, Jan? Is there a permit on that?
Yeah, I see it.
Not yet, because they have to get this first.
Okay, so
So
he
it will
was,
be.
he was asking me, so he needs this and then he get a permit.
And then, yes, and then the application, the link to the application is, I give it to you, I can go down to evening, Gucci or something. When you submit it to us,
Then you get it online.
you can, you know, they submit it to.
Then our permit, you guys can just pick it up online. Unless you want to give it to me. right now.
Either way.
Well, I guess I'll take it.
Okay, as you're walking down, I'll walk down with you.
Great.
Okay, next up, Theodore and Catherine DeVoe.
Very much.
Hi there.
Hi, I've got my husband on the phone for any technical questions.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes, yes, sir.
And so if you just state your name and your address, please.
That's Katie for Catherine DeVoe, and, everyone through Creek Drive. So we're just basically putting your everyday shed in the second lot. It's like a good old Home Depot style. So you should have all of the specs, I think, but it's basically I think 14 by 8. So it falls under the building code size, I think. And yeah, 7 foot tall side walls. I don't know, what kind of information.
Is there a concrete pad? Are you pouring concrete under it?
There is a, hold on, let me make sure I get it right. TJ, are you there? All right, so she asked if there's gonna be a concrete slab under it, but I think there's some other kind of slab, right?
It's concrete,
Small concrete pillars or, yeah.
Okay.
So you guys see that? Small concrete pillars. I think it comes as like a little assembly kit that you can put under it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says it includes a floor, so it's probably wood,
Oh,
wood
okay.
floor or something.
And
They
which,
just need to get it up. off
which
the
one
ground.
is it here on the pictures?
It's this one here.
Okay.
I have a couple of, yes,
So the top left hand side.
yeah, I see that, but I also went down, I also see the thing that says that looks like the house. And the house doesn't look like this.
Well, so we're gonna be painting it to match our house.
Mhm.
And then it doesn't come with a roof either, so we have to paint it, if we're gonna get the metal roof, like our roof,
Mhm.
and then make
Okay.
it,
And then paint it to match your house.
Okay, and so this picture does not actually show what it's going to look like.
right, because it comes unpainted and unroofed,
Okay,
so.
so we should make some sort of notes on this that is, because our accessory buildings ask for it to sort of look like the house.
it'll look
And
like-
when I drove by the house, I thought the house is really cool, but that building, it doesn't look like the house.
Well, we probably won't be able to make not necessarily, because our roof is like.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be whatever shape this is.
Yeah, it'll be that
but-
shape, but we'll make it the tin roof or the metal roof and the beige and all that, so.
Yes.
We can give this to you if you need it for like official record.
It would
You
be,
do?
it would be good to have, I think,
Oh, okay.
and just put it with it,
Okay.
because,
Yeah.
also, this shows a window, and you would be planning for it to have the window.
Yep, I think it comes with the window.
It comes with the window and, but not necessarily have the shutters, because the shutters aren't in keeping with your whole look.
Okay, so TJ, no shutters? Mister?
I mean, it's not the look of your, it's not the look you've got
I
going.
gotcha.
So
Well, to match the house as much as possible in materials.
I get this very cool sign, you know, that the front of the house is in back.
Well, no one knew where to put the UPS packages ever, and they kept leaving them at the garage door. We're like, we have to explain it. It's around the front. It's so funny. That's funny, you know, just where we are.
Yes, I do. I went down to look.
I like it.
I went down to look because I couldn't, from this picture, I couldn't imagine that shed.
Sure, sure.
And you're getting that shed in shape and in materials, but what it will look like is match your house.
Yes.
So we ought to have, add those as stipulations, paint and
Paint.
roofing materials to
Paint and
match the
roof.
house.
Match the house
And no shutters.
no shutters. Yep, correct.
Not the location.
Well, that's sort of interesting too. The map we have shows you sitting right smack in your setback.
Well, it's gonna be, so this is the fence line along Clear Creek, right? So here, we have this massive empty lot with like nothing in it, so we don't wanna put it in the middle of the lot, that would be really weird. So we're just kind of putting it right in the front area of this. We used to have a camper park there, we're basically just parking it, not parking it, setting it, just right in the front area.
But you
So-
can't put it in your setback.
It has to be, I think, it was at 15 feet easement?
It's, I saw something about this.
Yeah. On this little map that we have, there is the line, I don't know if you can see it, there's the line of your setback. And there's where the shed looks like it's sitting.
Okay,
It has to move over there.
okay, I see. what
It
you're
has to be out of that setback.
saying. Got it. So basically, TJ, it has to be kind of in line with the front porch, like the end of the front porch.
Then you can measure off your
Driveway.
fence, you're gonna know.
Yeah. So, is it 15 feet exactly?
This setback is from wherever the street property line is.
And that's our thing, it's in front of the house.
It says the minimum front yard setback for principal buildings is 25 feet.
Okay.
Yes, but it's for a principal
That's,
building.
this is an accessory.
The minimum side yard for accessory is 5, but they don't imagine that you're gonna have a front yard accessory building, but in this case, it fits there.
It shows on the survey, there's a rebar with the yellow plastic cap, and that's what your reference point would be for go back 15 feet. If you can see right there where you, that's the corner of the property line.
Okay, yep,
So if you can use a metal detector or something to find that,
okay.
that'll tell you where 15, go back 15 feet from that, and then you're out of setback.
And it's 5 feet on the side.
5 feet on the side.
So 15 feet from the set, 15 feet from the Clear Creek Drive. the
Yeah, from
road,
the street,
And then 5 feet from like the neighbor's fence.
yes.
basically. Yeah.
Mhm.
Got it?
On our guidelines, it's located accessory structure in the front yard is discouraged. Well, this is the front of the house. This is the side of the house.
This is the backyard.
It's a tough one, because that's kind of a side
Yeah,
yard too.
Because it's their side yard. I mean,
Yeah.
it is in front of their
And it has
house.
a tall fence.
As a matter of fact, it won't
It'll be
look
taller
like
than
it's
fence, but it
part of
has-
the house at all. I mean, we've
Yeah.
run into
It has
this in a
6
couple of
foot high
other
fence.
places
Okay.
where they've had yards that are all to the side. I mean, what do? You put something in the side.
Yeah. Okay, so we're good on that.
In this case, it's been treated as a backyard since it's got the 6 foot high fence already.
The front seems like it's more lakeside.
Yes, well,
But it is
that's why
the
they've got the sign that you have
Yeah.
at the front of it.
That's the sign.
Well, it's really technically the whole second lot, so it's kind of like confusing what to do with that, you know, so.
Well, let's not go there because we can't approve an individual structure that's not a house on
It's
a
all
secondary
Is
lot.
this truly an easement across the front? They should definitely stay out of the easement.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the 15 feet.
Yeah.
yes, yes, you have to stay out of the easement. You can't build anything in an easement.
Well, as opposed to a setback. I mean, that, there's an easement on the, looking at it from the Clear Creek Road, looking toward the lake. There's an easement, it says easement on the left side and on the front.
That's a 5-foot easement, so yeah, gotta stay out of 5-foot end and the 15.
So you need to be definitely not in the easement at all. And then, I'm not clear on the setback issue, whether it's 5 foot or 15 feet from the easement line or from the property line.
I think it's from the property line, because there wouldn't be a separate setback from the easement.
No, I wouldn't see a separate setback from an easement either, but you do have to stay out of that easement.
Yeah.
But that's the 5 feet on the side.
Yeah, but it's what,
Is there also an easement across the front?
12 foot?
Search your survey really carefully to make sure you. And actually, as far as the fact that it is 2 lots, except the house already sits on both of them, if you notice.
Yeah.
So it's not
It's not a separate lot.
a separate lot in
No.
that sense, because the house already covers. Yeah, that's like my house. It's a lot line runs right through the house.
So
You should want to sell them in your bedroom.
No, I had to sell the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, so that.
we book 3?
What is this down? Book 3, chapter 14, page 160, 166, we don't have
Page
a
100,
page
new
100,
accessory structure.
yes. Why did I write down 166? There is no such thing.
Chapter 13?
It's chapter 14,
Thank you.
Yeah.
section 1. And B, construct an accessory structure that's subordinate in scale. And it should be on B1, unobtrusive and not compete visually with the house, which it won't, it's not large enough to do that. B2, subordinate in terms of mass, scale, and height. This is a kit, but it's not a pre-manufactured, bring it onto the site. C is, and C1, rectangular forms, hip gable. D, maintain a traditional range of building materials. I think that this is where we indicate that the siding, essentially that the siding will be painted to, is wood, and it will be painted to match the original. E, maintain simple detailings, we're not doing shutters and trim, big trims.
Okay, anybody got anything else?
No shutters?
No shutters.
Yeah, that's under stipulation.
It is. Regular motion then?
I move that we approve the application with the stipulations as noted.
Do I hear a
For
second?
the shed.
A second.
Is there any more discussion on these comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay.
Yay.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else you do?
This will be in the office tomorrow if you want a copy. And then do they need a permit on the shed? They don't.
You don't need it.
Okay, okay. That's it.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Because it's a really small shed. Did we add this to the agenda?
Next, I guess.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, come on up.
We have boards that we brought here.
David Burton, right? Okay.
You don't use that.
It's easier to see big and little, I guess. Let's do that. So, we are proposing a project.
Okay, will you-
Sorry, thank you.
Please state your name and the
Sure.
address of the project.
Sure, my name is David Burton, I'm with Real Architecture.
Mhm.
I'm also one of the owners of the property here, so we're an architecture firm and a construction company and a development company. It's our 28th year in business in Denver, we do about 12 projects a year that we build. So this property is currently addressed 0000 Argentine Street. And one of the things we really do need to get is an address, because I really need to get Excel Energy started.
We can't
And
give
you'll
that to you.
Yeah.
You'll get the address when you apply for your building permit.
Okay, because Excel Energy is 9 months out, is what they're telling me.
Wow.
Oh, you can teach us
Which is
about
crazy.
Excel.
Yeah, we know all about Excel.
We know all about Excel.
Possibly.
So,
Generator.
Yeah, let's,
So, let me tell you a little bit about the property. The property is a small sliver of land that's in the Bighorn Crossing area. It's right against I-70. And we went to the Board of Selectmen a little less than a year ago. And there's a huge amount of public right of way at Argentine Street that goes all the way up to our property line. And we've got I'm not sure if it's called a license agreement.
it's an encroachment license,
agreement
is what it's called.
to utilize some of that area for our drive aisle and parking. So we're proposing a 4-unit commercial building, 1-story stone and stucco pitch roof, on-site trash snow storage area, basically a building, where we can build one. We don't have a lot of land here, so it's definitely a tight site.
Yeah, we've seen this before a couple of times.
Yes.
Not since we've owned it though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unless, are you guys the Board of Selectmen also?
No,
No.
Okay, because we presented to the Board of Selectmen to get the encroachment agreement.
I think we saw something similar.
It was similar.
By
You came
the
under conceptual.
crazy.
it came under
Yeah, okay.
conceptual.
And
And
that's what we
yeah,
did.
yes,
We did.
we've seen both,
Quite
yes.
familiar.
Okay.
This looks quite
I
familiar.
think at last time we did not have a pitched roof. I think we were looking at doing it as a flat roof.
No, they were pitched.
Was it?
Yeah, they look like these.
There's my COVID buzz for the day.
So this application is for the buildings
Yes.
or for the signs?
For the buildings and sign, yeah. There's one building and multiple signs or on the building.
Okay, because I thought actually we had made some decision on this
I
building.
think that was a different property. Because it almost looks identical. It was between.
But I thought it was
Crazy Horse.
preliminary anyway.
Well, that,
It was preliminary.
yeah, but we
It was
pretty much
preliminary?
went through it, so.
Oh, yeah. And this
Yeah, we
looks a
went
lot
through-
like what we
Yeah,
were talking about.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, but it's the same location.
I
yeah.
thought it was a different location. but that
Where
was-
are you exactly?
We're right at Bighorn Crossing. We're I think the only property that's across Argentine.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's the same place.
yeah.
Yeah, yes, next to Helipad, it's the same
Yeah.
place where we looked at.
I think we did
Send it
this,
to
we did
us.
this on Zoom, so.
It was
Oh, yeah.
preliminary,
Right.
and now we're on for design review.
Yeah,
commission.
because it's been
I
twice
thought
that
it was
we've seen.
between the visitor center and the Crazy Horses, the one we.
We looked
No.
at there, but not this.
No, we looked at this
So we
one.
looked at this one. It
We
was
looked
down-
at this one.
down at the-
Did we all do it on Zoom together? Is that what
No, no.
Because I haven't been here.
We did one way back on Zoom, and then.
They were
we-
talking about Never
Yeah.
Summer coming
Yeah.
to be here,
Yeah.
and we looked at the front of it, and the back of it,
Okay.
and we
So
were
this
the
is-
ones
this
who
is the same
looked at it
project?
and
Yeah.
said, because at that point, they had the encroachment license, and we were sort of about to strangle the Board of Selectmen because they never mentioned that the Greenway had to go.
Right, you're
They
right. And
never
we-
mentioned-
We widened the sidewalk.
Yes.
That's
That's
really
right.
Yes.
unfair.
That's
Yeah,
right.
because-
That's right.
because-
But we did it on Zoom, because I have not been here in person.
No, you haven't, but a couple of people have, because I've met them, shaking their hands.
That's what it looked like
This is the
before.
one we looked at.
That was the first one.
That was the first, that's what,
And that was-
Yeah, but on Zoom, though.
And then there was another
Yeah,
one
that's-
that had, there's another one that had.
Same
the-
location.
You know, the last 3 years has been like this.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, all right, so
Great.
keep going.
So here we are.
But that was
Yeah, because
preliminary.
This is for a COA.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is for us to.
This is
This is for real.
Are your boards different than what we were handed early?
No, we just refined, perhaps refined it a little bit.
Okay.
But we were up here on Tuesday because that gave us one day. So
Well, I've given you the wrong date, I accidentally sent you the board of selectmen Zoom, but you appeared in person anyway.
So we were here on Tuesday, visit for a minute, we jumped the boards off, here we are again, so sorry for being a little late.
But we will be operating off of what we have in
Sure.
our packets, not what you have. So if you have
What else
any
is there?
differences, we
Okay.
need to record the differences.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I will say that we did add is we were showing some potential AC compressors, because we don't know if we need air conditioning up here for the businesses. We may or may not. So we did add, that is the only thing that was added right here on the back of the building. We also added, because we're moving the project forward, we're working with civil engineer, we added a grease interceptor underground, which I don't know that. Underground, but that's the difference of the utilities. Have been refined, but the elevations are the same and the color boards are the same, so we're proposing a stone and stucco building with some metal as well. We do have a color board, which you guys probably have in your packet there, showing the materials. We are an A12 roof in Gateway Commercial, we're Brookside sandstone, we generally work with Telluride stone. There's a stone veneer.
Real stone?
Real stone.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Not looking stone.
Well, it is
It is?
adhered, but it's actual, it's
Actual
sandstone.
stone. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
so it's not the 4-inch, it's a 2-inch thick. That's what we generally been using. Ground off asphalt shingles. We did change one thing from what you have, the fascia. We did change it to rather than stained wood fascia. We know that there's a lot of kind of wind, sandblasting that's gonna occur to our building. I tried to.
Yeah, well, it's a little rocks on you.
I tried doing a little bit of, bulletproof my friends on a couple of units in Big Horn Crossing that changed their windows multiple times. So especially on the uphill windward side. So,
Overall height,
overall height did get reduced to like 26 and change.
because it was 30 some.
It was 30 something. We dropped it down. We were gonna do, we were looking at doing measurements in it.
Your eyes are better.
The
than
36 or 26?
It's 26,
It's 26. Yeah.
but you still manage it at 12.6 pitch, or is that a 12.8?
It's an A12, that's true. 8 vertical, 12 horizontal.
Yeah,
So which I believe is kind of the minimum pitch.
yeah,
in this,
that's the pitch we go for.
So, I mean, I tried to keep it as low as I could and give it as much presence as I could in defining the individual unit entrances with basically an entry feature at each one and signage at each one. We are proposing signage as well on the I-70 side as well.
Is that
Yeah,
signage on the
I
back
think-
side?
I think the signage needs its own discussion.
Yes, I would like it to be lit for sure at night.
Okay, well,
So-
we need to talk.
I agree with that.
Sure.
Well, we need to talk about the monument sign very seriously.
The lights, the exterior lights on either side of the doorways, they need to be full cut off,
Yeah,
Dark
dark
sky.
sky.
I think we're calling it that.
Well, and full cutoff, because a lot of dark sky these days, people say, well, you know, if it's the bulb's just there and the light's still here.
Certainly. We will probably end up doing a photometrics of it. We do have a couple of parking lot lights shown, and we should talk about that because I think it's important to have some light, but I agree. I don't want people like,
Well, a couple of,
let's talk about parking lot lighting too. Is that something?
well, the parking lot lighting, the town has received a grant to do improvements coming down the street. And so there's a sidewalk planned across the street from you. And the greenway, the 10-foot greenway is to come up either in front or in back of you. And if you've got the 10-foot wide Peak to Plains Trail marked in your plans, so it's fine if it comes in front of you. But the town does have the funding at this point to do that. hopefully that funding, but with the price of concrete, I mean, excuse me, but hopefully that funding will also permit us to carry the streetlights that you see on, from 15th Street this way,
Okay,
going from 15th Street that way.
that would be wonderful.
And if that occurred, if you were doing parking lot lights, if they could in some manner correlate with our street lights, I think that would be lovely.
Certainly, if you have
All
a
the way around.
specific fixture that. you
Yes, we have a spec and
Yeah, we would be
and
glad to
all
propose them.
of that. And they're not, they're not way up high, they're
Right.
not super bright. And as you can tell, we still have lots of XL left over hanging around town, and little by little, we're getting some of those gone. But it brings the lighting down. I mean, we're on, what, 14-foot poles out there.
And anything new has to be dark sky.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, like I said, if you have some specific fixtures,
We do.
I would,
We do.
yeah. Just the back. Oh,
Yeah, I think they're showing.
There it is, it's on the back.
18-foot pole.
So, yeah, we have them right here, and here, just on either end. One, no, sorry, three of them.
We have three of them.
If we want to move them and put them closer to the Plains Trail.
That might be wonderful, because our lights are probably on the other side of the street.
Okay.
It depends on how much right of way. We have plenty on your side, but it depends on how much we have on the other side. I mean, all the lights may be on your side.
Okay.
So,
So do you have an engineer working on that or anyone?
right now, we're just going to bid on the design. We had a rough design that we used for purpose of raising the funds. So, and it is the basic design for the rest of the gateway. So it was fairly easy to say we're extending this.
Well, so before he's ready, he'll know what ours are gonna
Yes,
probably look like, so we can
yes, I can.
let you know.
Yeah, if I get those specs, because I'll usually run a photometric plan of this, and if I get those specs, I can do those and put those in, so we can make sure that it actually does like what we want, not what we don't.
Right.
Try to make some sort of a note somewhere. in there.
I like it.
Give these folks a,
Do we want to talk about the sign lighting then while we're talking about lighting?
we've got a lot to talk about this.
Maybe just find stuff.
Okay, okay,
Signs are first.
okay, building first.
Let's do the building.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Good, you don't have white stuff in. I'm glad you don't have white stuff in,
Yeah, that's.
because
nice.
that's not,
So probably,
White
did
stuff is
be
bad.
about this color in about 2 years.
it would be, but with gray
Yeah.
streaks.
Yeah.
We actually took some of the dirt and tried to match, and we'll probably do that.
Yeah.
That's a-
So it's more earthy around
So do we have anywhere else in town where we have 4 identical structures like this?
here, besides across the
No
street.
variation.
This is really one structure, right?
Yeah, this is,
Yeah.
in a certain sense, yes, we do.
Okay.
Nicel and Anderson is hardware store, and the two stores that
Yeah,
are next to Mike Nicel and Anderson were built as one building of 3 stores.
okay.
They share a cornice all the way across the top, but they are 3 separate buildings. So, no, not uncommon.
Well, down at the other end too, the corner, I think it's a t-shirt shop now, and then the art gallery and a little,
Yeah,
That's all
those
kind of-
those are 20th century
yeah,
construction.
but they still have that.
But even in 19th century construction, as long as they're not huge, extensive,
And this is
and this
21st
is,
century.
So we don't have any problem with people seeing 4 identical stores. I mean, these are all identical.
no,
Everything is.
identical. It is one building.
Yeah, it's one building. I don't think we're going for like each storefront having
No.
a different look to make it look like 4 buildings.
There's a little bit of variation, but not
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
The
Trying
entrance
to
is
find the entrances, really.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And
wonderful.
it's commercial. It's down in the commercial area. And it is newer, so we're not trying to do replica.
It's really hard with the 812 pitch roof to not go really tall. I mean, if we had a wider lot, it would be
Well,
difficult.
you know, and that mistake has been made before, where it was a fairly big building and the roof pitch just makes that roof
Right.
huge, so.
I mean, I tried to really get the proportions of the facade to the roof
Mhm.
balance.
The roof proportions are good.
Yeah, I think this breaks, I mean, I think it breaks the building up rather nicely.
Yeah, all the different little
Yeah.
dormer peaks or whatever.
What are the awnings over the entrances?
So we're,
I don't see that shown in.
yeah, they're shown in the front and here on the side. They're very small metal. In the past, we've made them out of steel, just steel channel with a steel plate roof with brackets holding them up all out of steel. I think we have all that steel.
And how does it drain?
It's like 2 feet. So it's
Oh, so it just sheds
Yeah,
off.
it just shuts off. It's just a little place over the entrance.
So as long as the doors stay in swinging, then it's good.
Yeah, and these are so small, they'll be in swing.
Okay.
We want to do on swing doors for this.
And that'll be painted metal.
Yeah. It'll be bronze painted, matching the storefront.
Okay.
And then, do we care if there's consistency in the font that's used for the various signs?
We're not on signs yet.
We'll get
We'll
to
get to
signs.
signs.
We care.
We'll get to signs.
Signs is gonna be big, so hold on.
So all storefront is bronze and same with windows? Windows are
Yeah,
storefront
which
as
is.
well? So everything's storefront?
Yeah.
Even on the backside, storefront?
Exactly. yeah.
Okay.
It's all storefront. All storefront.
The windows, is that what you just said?
So the bronze will be
Doors and
non-reflective.
windows and the
Yeah,
doors,
okay.
they'll all be the same.
Nice.
And it's bronze, that's not reflective.
No, I like that.
That's good.
Selecting a bronze right now, and I mean, there's 3 shades of bronze that look like black and it's.
They look black, but
Yeah, yeah.
if you look at them closely, you can see a little.
And actually, we've got
They look
different shades over here.
Yeah.
We don't have similar shape. Well, I mean, even across the front, this is,
Other than
yeah,
that,
but
everything
this
else
is very, yeah, then you've got those and then you've got this.
Last time, non-reflective. Non-reflective last time.
Yeah. I mean, storefront, clear glass.
You'll get the low E and all that, but no extra reflectance. on
Yeah,
that.
no, it's clear glass. I think we might end up doing, since I know about all the window breaks, it's laminated glass on the, I guess, which direction is
South.
it? Always you're wrong, south side.
South.
Yeah. The window side, I say.
South and east.
Yeah.
I think it's every direction.
Yeah.
It was coming up good today out there.
I'm curious, on Suite B, there's a little room with a door to the outside.
Yeah, we'll have a water service entrance there, so that we'll have a backflow preventer for a water service.
So it's a utility.
Yeah, 2 utility closet, backflow preventer, and for domestic water supply.
How many feet is the length?
I think I have one of these, I think it's 220.
Okay, that makes sense.
2014 is what.
2014, yes,
Yeah.
you got it. A long skinny building, which is, frankly, fairly good for retail, which was about 60 feet. That's my preferred depth for retail. That's what it is.
And we're on page 49 of book 3. And so we might run through this and see what questions come out of that, and that's what we have to do. We're in the Gateway Mixed Use Character Area, Chapter 7. Number 1, mass and size, use building sizes that relate to those structures found in the neighboring character areas. Well, they don't have this particular location has no neighboring character area except what's across the street from it, and it does,
We did try to pick up some of that material, even though it's not, I don't think that's gateway commercial across the street.
no, it is not. Oh, I'm in gateway mixed use.
But we did try to
Better
pick up
get
some of the
gateway commercial,
Yeah.
because I think of it as gateway mixed use, because you're right across the street from all the gateway.
Yeah.
So excuse me, we will move to gateway commercial, which is page 37. Scratch that, Susan, please. Once again, you get mass and
It
size.
does the same thing,
Yes, it does basically sound.
page 39. So.
We're on mass and scale on page 39. A variety of sizes is appropriate. Differentiate the primary facade. It says with significant setbacks in the wall plane. But they may not be super significant, but
But they're there.
they are significant setbacks in the wall plane. That would be page 39, A1. A2. And this, I'm not sure that I would consider a larger development. And D, the primary facade should not exceed 50 feet in the width without a significant setback. And that's what you do with going in and out here. And that's D1. So if we go on to building and roof form, page 40. A, building forms that are similar to those seen traditionally. Buildings should have vertical proportions, and while this is highly horizontal, each section
Yeah,
pitch
push it up.
and windows. B, roofs have a similar pitch. B2, primary roofs maximum have a minimum pitch of 812. You don't have skyline. Long ridge line parallel to the street will be broken up, and they are. That's C. And I think on page 41(3), coordinate the plans with surrounding properties to enhance the sense of building space and parking. They say open space and service areas. I think this does do it. It coordinates with the plan for the greenway. It breaks up some of its parking. And has even little island edges on its parking. So its parking doesn't look like it's really cars.
Parking lot.
Page 42, pedestrian systems. A, that project should be designed to provide an attractive street edge and to encourage pedestrian activity. And if it does, it will be the first project in this area to do so. It would be much appreciated if it did.
Or bike parking there, like this side too.
Yeah. So that's A. And A1. And A3, building entrances should be clearly identified and oriented towards facing the street. We're gonna have the first pedestrian pathway down there, because yes, they'll connect with everything else. On 5, the positive open space, this site is not,
We have very low open space.
yes, is not conducive
You
to
get the big
positive.
hill behind it. I said it.
Yes, well, that's true. That's true, but you know, they have given it spaces in their parking lot, and the parking spaces are vital, and so the fact that there is even any space to break up the
Yeah.
parking lot is, and that basically deals with large. 6 on page 44, section 6. Clearly identify the road edge as A, and entrances for automobiles and pedestrians. And A1, use landscaping to identify entrances, landscaping lighting.
Landscaping will be as shown, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's your plan.
And I think we talked with, selectmen regarding what's species of trees.
Yes, narrow leaf cottonwood, born in the mountains.
That will be these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are along the street.
That's what you see as you drive out of town, where they're all growing in the new, the
In
new
front of the
10 years
market
old.
and stuff.
What's lining the road out there.
Ground cover?
Ground cover, we talked about that a little bit, so we do have some shrubbery on this 8-foot landscape buffer we're calling out right now, golden barberries and red fig dogwoods mixed, honey locust up against here. I don't know what would be appropriate to put in this right of way.
We might wait until the town development project comes along and see
Yeah.
what
Good,
happens.
good point.
Yeah.
I could help you with that.
And just, you know, leave that one open.
I don't know about dogwoods.
Yeah, so it ties in.
Will there be irrigation for these plants? Automatic
That's a
irrigation?
good question.
Because if there isn't, don't waste your money.
We can, a few of the mountain towns, we've done irrigation that we put in, and we irrigate for a few years until they take over.
Right.
And
It's
actually,
usually
you know,
established.
we did with the trees, because they're not irrigated, the ones that are between 11th and 15th along the side, those
They have,
cottonwoods that
they
are
have
growing.
those bags. that you
Yes,
fill.
yeah, we
Yeah.
did tree bags for the first 2 years.
Right.
And again,
Yeah.
until your tree gets going and
Established, yeah.
it gets established, and so.
Yeah, I think
That works.
it's critical that something be done on a, you know, 2, 3 year, until it establishes itself. Otherwise, it's just,
Yeah,
you just throw money away.
Right, we don't want to do that. So we want this little place, you know, this is, I mean, my partners and I are long-term holders who own different properties and we maintain them. So.
Okay, service areas, what was the last citing, Susan?
Section 6A1.
Well, it could be also section 6B. Service areas is page 45, and you have where your trash enclosure is. Will your enclosure be enclosed?
Yes, we have a fence on 3 sides usually, and depending on the front. We've done gates on these most of the time. It's just sometimes they're hard to open with a lot of snow. So,
I think we realize that.
Yeah.
We have a number of companies servicing this town now.
okay,
And which is given, it's good, but it also gives us a huge variety of colorful, large dumpsters.
That's
Right, we don't like that.
the big ones we got?
Well, these would be very prominent without.
Yes, they would be
And our
very.
guidelines would require a gate.
So
Yes.
we've done metal gates on most of these, and since on our building, we do have corrugated metal, I would propose that we. use
That would be good.
those
All right,
gates.
I think we should indicate that this.
It's not on your drawings. right
It is
now.
not.
No, but
And
we
I'm
should
not sure if
indicate
we
that
should
as
do-
one of our stipulations.
Slide gates or roll gates, but probably,
That part doesn't matter,
Yeah,
just that
okay.
there's a gate.
yeah.
But we-
I would say we should have, we could do a 6-foot-high metal enclosure with metal gates.
Yes.
And I'd be fine with that.
You're imagining stores that are going in here and like
So we've been talking to,
board stores.
our retail center board, we've been talking to a pizza place. And we actually have been talking with a urgent care So those are three we've been talking to so far.
So my question, and I probably just missed it, but are there public bathrooms in here?
In each unit. So we're showing this really, what I
not
call
seeing
a core
these
shell. So we're just calling, we're designing right now as a core shell until we find the tenant. So yeah, we're showing a handicap restroom in each of the spaces right now. But when we
So
find the
interior
tenants,
to
yeah, the
Shop.
interior to shop. But once we have a tenant, we'll have to figure out what needs they have specifically.
And they are not required to have
I
one to be.
understand, but am I wrong? This is kind of sitting out in the middle of nowhere, right? I mean, like,
Right, but we cannot require them to provide the town public restrooms.
That's the brewery's job.
That's right.
You will have to move your water closets off the exterior walls, but that's not our review,
okay,
because they'll freeze with plumbing in that.
Yeah, we're interior.
The water closets aren't,
Um,
but that's not our review. Will be, that's not our.
Don't worry, we can make that work.
So we-
We go fire out the end.
Mhm. We'll separate one.
So we do have on service areas, page 45, A and A1, and, you know, that trash will be screened from view on all sides.
With things.
And that's one of the little stipulations. The other one is that has adequate trash storage capacity. But that depends, of course, who you're.
For 6,000 square feet, 2 dumpsters should be adequate. It just depends on, again, how often they're picked up.
so if you have urgent care, they have a different type of trash requirement.
They have much less than, they have, hospital waste too, but they have much less than, I have a florist in one of my buildings, and I cannot believe how much trash they get. They generate more than restaurants, which
I'm just saying that some of this trash, if you're gonna have urgent care, some of this trash that they're gonna have, let's be treated.
yeah, I'm sure they would be their own medical waste provider.
And you would be negotiating with like the urgent care people?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
They would have their own, they
They'd be
wouldn't be
tenant.
dumpster trash, that would be picked up to the building interior, right?
okay,
And that would be definitely separated. We have one tenant right now who wants to do, not for here, for another building who does composting, and that's another whole business too. I mean, I think it's a good thing, but it's another whole business.
well, in Colorado, I read an article that people are being composted, you know. So, but
We're not counting.
you just spread us.
Urgent care is not doing that.
People that come to DRC not prepared.
You're not planning for
Is that
restaurants,
the
are you?
guideline?
Well, we are planning on putting in a grease interceptor and a line just in case.
The restaurants will have a lot of trash and then
Right.
separate dumpsters for food and grease things.
You know, well, grease would be a interceptor. But no, I'm gonna tell you, the biggest trash tenant we have is a florist. I would never have thought of that, ever. So,
It should be so green.
Well,
You can-
apparently we have not designed a lot of bouquets. Yeah.
I mean, the boxes they put in are sturdy as can be, too, you can't break them up.
Okay, site lighting is the next, and we've talked about that. The interior light, the exterior lights will meet the dark sky. That is 8. And A, lights simple in character and low intensity. And B, prevent glare onto any adjacent property.
Yeah, you're showing a 20-foot LED pole in the parking lot. It's probably too high.
Right, if we want to do those as the
To match the
towns.
towns, yeah.
Towns.
Yes, that's gonna be one of our
I agree to do that.
stipulation is that the parking lot lights match
Yeah.
the town's specs.
Did you say 12 foot is what they are?
I think they're 14, but let me check that.
Mhm.
It may be 12 to the bottom of the, and the pole may be 14. I mean, I wrote down the need to get streetlights, right? Which we'll do. And yes, okay, and the last part is that there's no corporate or franchise designs, and there are no corporate or franchise designs in this building.
What would an example of that be?
Gold Marches,
Oh, okay.
Or even the Starbucks signs
or a Starbucks
with
sign.
the mermaid.
Yes, but Gold Marches have whole buildings.
Yeah.
And you know, it's
So
If they don't
it was a
anymore.
Starbucks-
Michael Tell,
microtel.
traditional one, not like the one we have.
Yeah,
Right.
a traditional microtel would be a corporate design.
Yeah.
There are a lot of big corporations who are now moving into the fact that their logo's out front, but they don't have a corporate design building anymore. And that's, when we did this initially, life was getting flooded with corporate design buildings. I mean, Cooper's is a classic 7-Eleven if you think about it, and that's what it was built as.
Yes.
Okay, so we should go back to the other chapters. Setting is page 74. It is chapter 10, natural resources, they don't have any. Well, of course they
Cindy,
have
sorry, where are you?
some, but that's, you know.
Cindy, I'm sorry, where are you?
It's page 74.
Okay.
Chapter 10, settings, on-site hazards. I don't think we're in floodplains or except you can't tell what's coming down from the mountain these days. 75 site drainage. I don't know that there's anybody nearby that we need to worry that you're draining onto. And views, no. And most is residential building, so site design.
Nothing in 75.
All right, page 80 for landscaping. I would do C, use plant materials that are adapted to the Georgetown climate. And B, yes, use the plants that are compatible to Georgetown. And E is maintain the landscaped edge along the edge of the site, and that's you are doing on the side. You don't have a natural topography to maintain. It's not even, it's. We don't have any fences, walls, and gates. We have covered lighting.
Except for the trash enclosure.
Yes, that's not a fence. It's a fence,
That's
but it's
coming
not
on
a
page
fence.
85.
Service areas, yes. What says service areas should not be visible from major pedestrian ways. You have no way to make it invisible except for your doors. And so that's
fine.
we will understand that. Trash storage should be designed to be secure from animals, and you
Yes,
might not.
especially our home bear.
Yes, you might not
Yeah.
think the bear likes to
Right.
visit over there, but you just.
He's quite able to move dumpsters down the street.
Right.
Fishing. Rolling.
Tips the one over across the street from my house. Every couple of days, it's laying on its side.
The big metal dumpster.
Yeah, yeah, the ones that are locked tight, they don't even get them open, they just banging them
Yep.
down the streets.
Well, then we have more than one there.
Oh, yes, we have more.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more.
We
We
know
have
this
one.
for three.
Yes.
We have our bear on Third Street.
Well, I have mine who comes home every
He visits
night,
me
so
often.
Yeah, okay.
my bear is, I don't think it's yours.
Yours is the downtown bear.
Utilities, this shows that there will be absolutely no vents on that roof. Now, isn't that interesting? Yes, they're
We'll
absolutely.
put them on the I-7 side, if that makes.
All right.
Handy
Yeah.
for you.
They minimize the visual impacts of utilities. The other thing is that any utility device or piece of a service equipment, this would include those whatever,
Condensers.
condensers, should have a matte and non-reflective finish and be coordinated with the building's colors. And Susan, page 86, 7, A6. And that's the one about, get it coordinated with the colors, and everybody promises to us that they will paint their vents.
It is always on our final inspection.
It is always on our final inspection list.
We get it before the final inspection.
Yes,
okay?
yeah, because before you can get his CO, we will come out and take a look and see if there's anything missing.
Okay.
We hate to be that way, but we've learned.
We just don't.
And place new telephone and electrical lines underground. Can they come in underground to you?
Yeah, we'll bring it underground.
Would you please put the whole line that's across the street?
Yes, I will put the plumbing underground though.
That's good.
I think it's there
That
already.
kind of
but-
goes without saying.
And you don't have solar devices. Okay,
And no utility boxes on the front side, correct?
No, we have,
In the back.
our gas coming in, on the side right here, and our electrical in the same place.
So everything's on. the
We might have a
front.
transformer, if they make us put one, we're showing one right here in the back top corner.
Okay, it's all on the back of the side.
That's what
Correct.
okay, architectural character, page 92. 1. A, yes, drawn designs, fundamental characteristics of building in Georgetown. I think that's true. I think this tries to do a vertical emphasis in each
Well, I
of the
think they've done
sections.
it quite well, actually. If you look at the front of the, with the windows,
Yes.
this is a good example of, what you can do with windows to get a vertical emphasis.
In the back, I've changed it a little bit to get a little bit more privacy in the back of the house,
Yeah,
but still,
it's still there.
it's still visible.
And break them up so they're not.
So we're on 92, and that directional emphasis is 2A. And the window and doors is 2B. The materials. 93, where are we?
96.
No, the
Windows, doors, and other openings.
yeah, page 93, A. And you went through the materials, didn't you? Okay.
They're all non-reflective, so that's B. B. As in-
One material change again would be from what you have is the fascia, we want to do.
And B1 is mirrored windows, but that's also reflective glass, and you're not doing that.
So can we, we're not doing
It
patios
says mirrored
and
windows.
decks
are
either.
reflective.
So can we go to building materials on page 96?
I think we can.
And it says, appropriate masonry materials include brick and stone, and you are using real stone. And D, for commercial and mixed-use projects on larger parcels, consider a combination of appropriate materials, and that's what you have, is a combination of materials. So anybody see anything else?
D2 would be,
D2.
yeah, D2 says earth tone stucco may be considered in large projects, and that's an earth tone, not white.
Yep. And that's all on 96. Roof materials, these are composition shingle,
Yeah, that's what it is.
asphalt shingles, and
50
they're
years.
50 years,
Mhm.
and they're screwed down?
They probably be right.
Screwed glued,
No.
140-mile-an-hour rate.
Yes, yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah, no, I'm not just kidding.
Especially
wish I
down
were.
there. It's
You're in the air
one
force.
of the worst wind places in town.
So roof materials is 97. It's 2A, A1, and I would suspect you're going to an earth tone roof, and we're not going to suddenly go on a green roof.
It's a brown kind of area.
Yes, earth tone, yeah. Okay, and that's the review.
Gutters and downspouts.
Would be probably bronze that's what all the rest of our metal is on the building, so. Say bronze.
Gutters, downspouts are appropriate and paving to match the structure. Yeah.
Yep.
Downspouts would match your stucco and.
We probably matched the metal, the fascia color and the metal color.
Okay.
Okay, can we divide this application?
Well, we haven't talked about paving yet, paving
The
materials,
driveway,
the driveway, and the parking.
Driveways. Where did I skip Miss
I
Driveways?
saw that, and it was back before the septic is.
I went whipping by
It
driveways.
was 40
It's
something.
just not like you said.
No, I didn't have it.
So we are proposing asphalt driveway, that would be some on the town's land and some on our land. Concrete curbs and gutters and sidewalks, including the road trail.
Yeah, the Peak Plains Trail has its own specs.
Page 54 is automobile circulation and parking.
54. We had asked the folks across the way, so I think they didn't do it. We had asked them to use millings and not use black asphalt.
Yes,
Would you prefer?
millions.
Really?
Yes,
Definitely.
Really? Okay.
we have a few.
I was just at the
Well,
brewery.
I think we would want them sealed and put down like asphalt, though,
Yeah.
not just the dirt. I mean,
It's
you
just
see it all over
getting
town now.
Yeah.
That's millings, they throw it down, they roll it, and,
They don't
3
even
days.
roll them. That's-
You gotta roll in oil.
You gotta roll it and
oil.
seal it, so
Yes,
that,
you roll in
it
oil.
becomes a surface.
Right, but it's still not as permanent as.
Right, it isn't,
Yeah.
but it also is not as, it has more texture to it than.
It does.
Is it
It
more
needs more
permeable?
maintenance too.
It's not permeable, I mean, the water will
Roll off of it?
sheet off it, yeah,
Okay.
which is what you want.
If that's a preference, we not to do that. You wanna do a roll or fillings.
It's not the biggest parking lot there, but,
It would look
Yes.
better. Your ADA spaces will still have to be concrete or asphalt. The rest of it would be.
A hotel.
That's kind of strange.
Well, because it's hard to get that smooth
Yeah.
surface,
So would you do that?
It's-
I would do that. in concrete.
we could do that in concrete to match the sidewalk and then ramp up. to it.
Okay.
and we do like an exposed where it's kind of got a little texture to it.
The concrete,
Yeah,
Cabin.
So
It's got a color and a texture.
is that a sand finish or something like?
well, it's.
It's not,
aggregate.
it's not a concrete, it's not
It's
an
not a
aggregate
finish.
finish. It is
It's
in,
in the concrete.
Yeah, yeah,
All the way through
exposed.
concrete.
Yeah, the sand finish is like, we will come and we'll,
Brush it.
we'll put a chemical on it and then we'll pressure wash it the next day and it exposes
Mhm.
some of the aggregate and it's a sand, non-aggregate finish, but it's like a light sand finish. You tell me what you guys prefer. Doesn't matter.
Well,
this should have actual aggregate in it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we use a David sandstone color
For,
for our sidewalks and for our.
would we do all the sidewalks,
Yep.
Everything you can see.
Everything you
Okay.
can see.
So,
And the Davis color is sandstone 5237,
okay,
and it's 2 pounds
sorry, 50 to
37. And for sidewalks, and the kind of areas you're doing, it is 2 pounds per
A bag of cement,
bag, basically,
or 96
96 pounds.
96 pound bag of cement.
Okay, but if I talk to the concrete plant, and say it's Georgetown color, they'll know.
The
They'll
Davis.
know the
That
Davis
depends on
color.
what concrete.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
take the Davis number
Yeah.
and the aggregate in it. And they've done some for folks here that's a very, very light aggregate. And if you get, how do we even define it? If you stepped outside and walked next door, you would see the pan that's going into the driveway that's right next door. And if, as close as we can come to that level of aggregate,
I
it's
think
not
it's a sand-
miniature.
I think it's a sand finish.
It's
No,
not, it's not real
it's
heavy
not.
rock.
It looks like a standard aggregate, maybe
Okay.
3/4, half to 3/4
Sure.
aggregate
Sure.
that is washed or scraped. It's not the traditional pebble type sand finish.
Huh. Okay,
It's
I'll take a look.
it's very different.
I mean, if you guys have a spec specific, for it. well,
We don't really have a spec for it.
We should
Probably
generate one.
See if we could generate one somehow.
Yeah, we can,
If it
yeah.
gets us.
As much as.
We'll
Yeah.
try that we'll try that on Strauss Park when we get to do the
Right,
parking
right.
lot there to actually get a.
There has to be a
Yes,
spec somewhere, because if you look at it, virtually all of our curbs, gutters, and driveway things in the downtown here are that. I mean, they may be 30,
And they're 30 years old.
Even
Yeah,
if
5
even
years
the old
old.
color, I mean, they're colored too.
yes, they're colored too. I mean, if we could ever find the spec that did those.
Spec that did those was probably the dirt from here.
Well, and that is the point. If you look at
That is
look at the
point,
concrete
Yeah.
and then you look next door, right next to it,
is
where
dirt.
there's a dirt gravel path. You, other than the fact that the concrete is smooth, the path isn't, you really can't tell the difference. It has the gravel path look to it. So it's not anything that you would traditionally find in water.
And I don't, I don't know how to, we don't know how to quite replicate that. But we say to folks, well, look at our handicap ramps downtown, or look at our drives downtown, and they say, where are they? And these are people who have walked this
Because they
sidewalk
blend with the
Because they
dirt.
don't.
because they blend with it in such a way that
Yeah.
it doesn't stick out to them.
I didn't really get that until about a week ago. You said you showed me exactly what you were talking about.
I will-
You go on this one.
Check this out.
Yeah.
I'm very used to that.
But you should generate that.
Yes.
That'd be really good.
Cindy,
Match this.
Isn't
Yes,
the bike
that's
path
this.
around Argentine what we've been telling people
What?
to try to emulate? No, that's not right.
No,
Is that what the
no,
micro-
that's,
It's not right.
it's not dark enough, nor does it have an aggregate enough.
I don't- yeah,
No, I look
I
at
don't-
yours and I sort of go,
don't know.
I
If you
know,
walk up-
Chris told me he knew what he was thinking.
yeah, but if you walk up to Leroy's, Leroy's, the bucket garage on the side, his
Bike path
his
is different.
gravel is a little bit smaller, but it does the exact same effect,
Yeah.
you know, it just
Really?
blends
Yeah,
right
it's
into the
a
ground.
smoother
Yeah,
surface because
that's
it's
road.
like that. Yeah.
Well, we got plenty to
Okay.
go. so.
Okay, so
We'll
moving
work
on.
Okay,
I think we already did. Oh,
We
yeah,
gotta
we're
do
doing parking
inspection.
lot and, so were there any sightings on parking lot? Seven?
yes, we're sort of stipulating that they do the. And that we
And you got
Get a
snow
concrete
storage
spec.
spec.
Yeah, on either end.
Okay, so that's seven,
Spec.
seven,
So
three.
that's,
Snow
that
storage.
we're gonna
zones.
create and include it in that.
Yeah, once we get.
Yeah,
a
once we
spec,
get-
know
once we get a real
we-
spec.
Help you generate the spec if you need
Yeah,
that, you know.
yes, because we do.
Yeah,
we need to do something like that.
yeah.
So the parking lot will be Millings?
Millings rolled around.
Mhm.
I mean, they did Main Street with the millings up by me. And that's worked fine.
Yes, it has.
Every other place in town where they put the millings down, it's ridiculous.
Correct.
I mean, as soon as the rain comes, it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you have these mounds like in front of my house that are meaningless, and you can't grade the street anymore because you've made it impossible.
Registry, they did it too big.
I was really excited.
There's a
that they
trick to it.
did it Down by me, because I thought, oh, good, you're gonna do all the way down the street. Well, they got down to the next block and stopped.
I live in town for a mile dirt road, and we did our own road millings last year, and we didn't roll it, and it's
A mess.
not great.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's-
where's the road, where's the road?
Yeah, it's black ruts all over the place.
Yeah.
So,
And they harden then.
now it's hard to do anything with it.
That's right. It's very hard to grade it after you've done it. Okay, are we finished with the building?
I believe we are.
Can we pass the building and then discuss the signs?
Well, yeah, they're separate documents anyway. right?
Yeah.
No, but they're not a separate application.
Okay, but
We can separate them, yes?
Let's separate them.
I thought we did not even approve of the signs.
What?
I thought we didn't even approve of the signs.
It's a structure.
This one is, it
Because it's
does
on the
not
building.
meet the sign code at all. And
Okay.
so they can come to the DRC with an entire sign plan, and that's the way it has been, that is not in keeping with the code. And the DRC can say if it's a whole integrated sign plan, that works. Or not.
Okay, so let's do the building.
I would like to give it with all the sightings, and we have a couple of stipulations there.
Yes,
That
we are.
that we approve the application for the building of the 4-unit commercial building at 000 Argentine Street in the Gateway Commercial District.
I will second that motion.
Any more discussion, audience comment? All in favor? Aye. Against?
I think you've done an awesome job.
Thank you.
So not like this.
You read the book.
I wrote it. I've written some of the books over the years, so I mean, I should be able to do it. But the stipulations are, again, the metal fence enclosure dumpster, the dark sky, match town fixtures, the narrow leaf conduit, the painted vents on the roof, and the Davis color and nose, I think, unless you'll give me the writing.
We will have the stipulations on there. I have enclosure for the dumpsters to be all the way around,
Yep.
metal, 6 foot high
Yep.
with metal gates. The parking lot lights to match the town street lights.
Well, yeah,
The ones down there, yeah. Davis Color Concrete, 5237, in the parking lot. And then the rest of the lot, so that's for your ADA and your sidewalks, and then
Sure.
the rest of the parking lot would be millings rolled and oiled. Were we gonna stipulate the trees? I mean.
yes, I was not going to, I don't know that we can stipulate the trees.
um,
And I wouldn't say the sidewalk simply is the Davis color. It will be an aggregate. It will be a kind of.
Okay, so,
And I have the trees on the plan, so.
Mhm.
okay,
I mean,
Well,
I don't
yeah,
think
you'll
we
wanna-
can actually tell you which kind of tree.
but you'll wanna work with something that's gonna live here.
Right.
Yeah.
No palm trees.
Well, if they live, we're okay with
If they live.
No dying trees, though.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay, so do you wanna start? I'm gonna finish this up, so if you wanna start the discussion on the signage.
Yeah, the gateway commercial signs in the sign code are section 183605. And it does allow one wall sign per business frontage. And the wall signs that are in this application meet the square footage regulations that the Gateway Commercial sets up for those wall signs. It does not mention the fact that if you have two fronts, at which this essentially does in a way, because you can't, and we don't want it to put its back to I-70 in a way that I-70 has no idea what's going on in those buildings. But as a matter of fact, the maximum area for any wall sign is 1 square foot for each linear foot of business frontage up to 40 square feet, which means actually the signs that are suggested for those wall signs are even smaller than, per sign than would be permitted, because essentially you've got 50 feet, almost 50 feet for, well, not for each building because they're not all even, but
So
but I
besides,
think-
what they've shown for signs.
what
front and back would be
they've shown,
appropriate.
yes, as far as square footage would be appropriate. The illuminated signs are permitted in the gateway commercial area. What this board has typically done is essentially the reverse of what has been shown here, in that they're showing a white background and it illuminates a whole sign with the business name. What we have typically done is what you would see at the microtel at night. The background is dark and the illuminated thing is the name, so that we don't end up with the whole illuminated strip.
And that's fine, that's what we would do anyway.
That's
So-
not what this
This
says,
is kind of generic though, but yeah,
but that's not what your application says. Your application says it's going to be white and you're going to then illuminate. I have your
sure,
application.
no, you're right. This is white acrylic with
Yes,
with bronze letters, and I get, we're talking about bronze acrylic with white letters,
yes, we are.
and I'm good with that.
Yes, okay, because that matters a lot, because otherwise
Sure,
you put 4 Band-Aids right across the
No,
front of your
yes.
buildings, and you've done nice materials, and so why would you want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we can make note that there's an agreement there. And then there is the thing about the freestanding sign. And the maximum height, according to the sign code of a freestanding sign, is 12 feet. Measured. Measured from the grade at the base of the sign to the top of the sign. And the sign that is suggested here, I think, is 32 feet.
Yeah.
And that, the problem, in a sense, is we have tried very hard to get rid of all of our high flying signs out of the Gateway Commercial District. And I have a very long memory. And so I have seen the Chevron and the Phillips 66 and the this and the that and the other thing that took us years to get down. If this commission goes, I'm not sure that we have the right to exceed these specs at that level. But even if we did, it would take approximately 4 minutes for about 7 other businesses to be in the door, to visit with Jen and say, how do I get one of those at that height?
So let me offer a little bit of a compromise, since the signage is right behind the 6-foot-high dumpster enclosure from the city side. Perhaps I can be 12 feet above that 6-foot-high dumpster enclosure. Maybe 18 feet high. So that from the city side, it's really 12 feet of visual signage, but from the highway, it's a little taller.
Is this an illuminated sign too?
Yes.
Okay, so it's gonna be bright and tall. then.
Yes, it's gonna be bright
It's
and
gonna be
tall.
vertical, and we can do absolutely the same thing that we just talked about on the other signs, which is reverse the coloration as well.
I think we would be talking about reversing the coloration no matter what size the sign was.
Yeah.
Because that's, and again, I think that actually the microtel says it's worked just fine for them. And of course, their top sign is attached to the building, so it's way high up there. But it is
It's on
it's
the
deep
building.
blue,
It's on
and
the
then
building.
and then you just see the word microtel. I mean, it's
It didn't seem appropriate to do like the old El Rancho sign on the roof.
no, matter of fact, roof signs are.
Well,
We would
That's
be,
another
are
application.
verboten.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's-
Yes, are actually verboten. I don't even know the legalities, to be quite frank. I know that we can do a signed plan, but I don't know whether we are permitted to exceed.
That would be a question for Jerry, I guess.
That's in the land use code.
This is in the land use code. This is
That's-
section 1836.050, and that is point.
So it's not in the guide, it's not in guidelines, it's code.
It's code.
Yeah, so I don't think we can.
We can't compromise.
I don't think we can mess
So,
with
so
it.
what I would propose is we, table the monument sign, and go forward with the building signs and then.
I would think
We
that
can
would
do
make
that
a
and
lot of
then work
sense.
with you guys to try to figure out, I mean, I think that's.
I will ask that question.
For a monument sign, we'll come back and discuss that further.
I think that works.
Yeah, Maybe
Thank
take
you.
some kind of a
Thank
We
you.
need a
barrier or something.
Because, and I'm, in a sense, sorry I didn't read this whole packet until 4:30 this afternoon and get in the car and drive down there and say, oh,
But do consider that, our building is now 26 feet high and we have this dumpster blocking it from, dumpster enclosure.
but the people who are in Argentina are going to see it.
Sure.
I mean, the question becomes, who's that sign meant for? Because usually the high signs were meant to talk to the interstate. And
And we're trying to do something a little bit, interesting and rustic and old mine kind of, for that. And I agree, I don't need a 32 foot sign. It's something smaller.
it'd be fighting with the telephone poles. No, I.
They're not on my side.
The telephone poles in that area are close to 45 feet.
They're
And
or
investigate
vehicles.
Yes. they're hideous.
So yeah, if you guys
There it has it.
move forward with, just the signs as proposed on the building with the reverse white on black, white on bronze instead of bronze on white, that would be wonderful.
Which would mean that we could approve the wall signs.
Yeah.
And that would be the sign, yeah. I would,
I would move that we approve the wall signs with the changing to the dark background with the lighter color lettering coming through. That we table the monument sign for now.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion? Others comment? All in favor? Aye.
thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
So when does this start to be done?
Well, our next step is, we've got our mechanical and electrical and structural engineer on board. And we haven't released the plans to them to start on the construction documents until tomorrow. And we'll get them the plans, and then we need to work on the plans for a month and a half, 2 months, get them submitted, and then hopefully we'll break down in the spring.
Right.
So we do need an address though. So I can get Excel going.
You can't speak fast.
Can't help you there.
It's gotta get, how about a proposed address? It's gotta be somewhere between something and something Argentina, right?
We can give you a proposed address, we'll come up with something.
That'd be wonderful, just something to give to
We do have a
Excel.
block and lot number, I mean,
Yeah,
but-
Excel doesn't want legal description, they want address.
Jen, if we project
I mean, I will-
19th and 20th Street, could we? We know the numbers for the people across the street from them.
Right.
it's just,
19.
that's what I've been instructed to
Yeah,
do, is
yeah.
wait until they submit
Yeah.
the building permit, and that's when we do it. But yeah, you can project,
I'll take a proposed
you can
address.
project it's gonna be between 22nd Street and,
Yeah, so we can make it 2100 Argentine Street.
You remember, what is that, what did I hear? I'll
It's
take
gonna
it.
be up. No, I think 21st Street would be.
1901, what's?
Who's right across the street?
1900.
it's 1960, it's 1920 through 1960 is the apartment building.
I'll take 1999. That's right, outside, right?
Is that what you're requesting?
I'll take 1999.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if that works.
Four numbers, one for each store.
Yeah, how do you wanna do that? Like one big address and then unit numbers, or?
Yeah, probably so.
That's what
The
I
fire
was
department, I would say 1999 ABCD.
Yeah.
That's for tenants too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Did we vote?
Yes.
Yes.
We tabled the monument and passed the others with the change in colors to dark background.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
It's very, we look forward to your.
You too.
Okay, do you want to do the setback
Yeah, they,
proposal,
Yeah.
or the lot size proposal, so.
when Martin Lander was here last time, he was essentially asking our opinion on whether there should be a maximum lot size and what it should be. And obviously, each residential district would have a different one. I mean, there can't be one for universally, but the concern was in the historic district. And many of our historic homes sit on double lots. They sit on someplace between 8 and 10,000 square feet of lot, more than you would suspect. Because even some of the little ones, you know, squirm around in other directions, you know.
So give me an example.
Mine, I have a little house.
Yeah.
4 lots, more or less.
Yes, on two and a half, you know.
Oh.
If you look at Kathy Hayes, it looks like she's got 3 lots. Moore's have 4. The Bowman White House has 4. There are lots of them that have 1.5, so they're not at 2. When you get up into your neighborhood, you're more likely to be on the 50 by 100s.
Yeah.
And it's far more compact. But as you come down through here,
Yeah.
it's less so.
Yeah.
And so, yes, and that's where your infill is going to be, because this is pretty well filled in.
Yeah.
So and what I'm curious about is what the planning commission is trying to do is be compatible, just as we are, to your existing historic structures. So when I was thinking it through, if you did a maximum lot area of 10,000 feet, the problem there is if I suddenly wanted to get rid of all my lot lines and be one lot, and I have the right to put a 40% footprint on 10,000 feet, that means I can put a 4,000 foot footprint, and I could put on a second story, and I could have an 8,000 square foot house. I think that, you know, it would require self, you know, there was something very beneficial to bringing up children in 1,600 square feet. There was no way to get away from each other. So you didn't worry about what the kid was doing in the basement.
Yeah, exactly.
But in any case, but I'm not sure that we should make, because I do think there's something to the fact that people do want to combine lots and have a little bit of more of a yard space. And what's happened to the planning commission is people coming in to combine lots to build extra large structures
These are lots that don't have anything on them.
that don't have anything on them, and they're trying to combine them because they could put a larger structure on it. And what the planning commission is looking at and saying, is there no limit to this? Could somebody come along and say, I want to combine this one, this one, this one, and that will now give me 15,000 square foot?
Well, the limit is they say no, you can't do that.
Yeah, but they don't
But
have
they need
any
some based on what?
Based on what? They
Yeah.
have no maximum lot area, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do that in a sense because our charge is compatibility.
Yeah.
Their charge is just to implement the zoning law. And I think that's Martin's point.
Yeah.
If they have no parameters. And so I don't know what you want to think about the 10,000. That would be 2 of our normal lots. My sense is if we do that, we have to do a couple of things that would make sure that the buildings didn't grow to be huge. And so I looked at the rest of, you have one of these? I looked at the rest of the area and bulk regulations. Do you all have one of these
Yes,
little
Yeah.
sheets?
yes.
And so if you're gonna have a larger lot, it strikes me as you should have a little bit of a bigger setback from your neighbor, because you have a little more space, and that's why I stuck in, you know, the minimum side yard for principal buildings on lot areas that are above 7,500 or 7,500 square feet and over would be 15. And the minimum setback on the rear would be 15 feet, and that would give you a little bit more, you would have had more space to start with. It would give you a little more space from your neighbors. The real sleeper in this is number 8. Because if we change it from lot coverage to floor area ratio, we have a whole different world.
That's true.
Because that means on my 5,000 square foot lot, I can have 2,000 square feet of building. I can't have 4,000 square feet of building. I can have 2,000 square feet of building. And in a way, if you want to know what that would look like, just walk down the road past the Alpine where those houses are being built one after another. All of them are under the 2,000 square feet. And you're getting a community of smaller houses. And quite honestly, the historic houses of this region, we've got the big ones along Rose Street, and the rest of them, with the exception of Dallas Atchison on Town Street. The rest of them tend to be the smaller houses. So I don't know. I mean, I imagine this would start a small more. But I think that it is appropriate for us to write back to the planning commission and say, look, you know, in response, we would suggest the maximum lot area in this zone to be the 10,000. But if you're going to do that, you have to do other things to keep your building size under control. But it lets people have a yard.
So this would be our recommendation to the planning commission?
Yes, this
I like
And then-
the floor area ratio.
for their
And then
discussion.
they would go to, I guess, the board of selectmen. for
If,
changing
no,
the
there would
code,
be,
if that's
yeah,
what they want.
if that's what they want. And so I guess I would ask if we could, if everybody's in agreement, if you want to change this in any way, because these are, we said, we're all thinking about it. So,
Yeah.
I like the floor area ratio part in there.
Yeah.
I think that's actually the limitation.
Yeah.
I think it gives a complete set of rules that we can apply to the Bassin area in the historic area.
Mhm.
I mean, it gives the teeth to what's written in our guidelines, but it codifies it so that
Mhm.
it gives somebody something to measure against.
because we've turned down 2 really big houses, and if it had been this commission, we would have turned down the one that's in back of us over here.
Yeah.
As just being completely outsized for its neighborhood. And actually, the ones that have recently been built on the Washington Mills site, all but one of them fits in this. I mean, I went and I checked, because most of those lots are more than 5,000 square feet, so they do have the 2,200 to 2,400 floor areas that they can deal with.
Would the one across the street fit in it, or does it?
What?
Back there?
The big giant house
No,
that
it
sits
does not.
across from Washington Mill? We argued about it 3 times here.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the one that
One in the hole.
the one in the hole?
Big giant house in the hole.
No, the big giant house in the hole would not have fit in this at all.
Without even calculating.
Nor
you can tell
would
it.
nor would the last 2 that have been proposed for Washington Mills.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean they couldn't, because they do have a double lot. It doesn't mean they couldn't have built something really substantial. But it does really mean you can't just lump together tons of lots and people say, well, you know, there's no land left. Drive down Main Street and think about the gaps.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, somebody owns all those, but the somebodies are, you know, all of those are you know, high-priced lots at this point.
Well, there's nothing to say the 70s houses can't be torn down. The 1970s houses?
Yes, the
Yeah.
1970s
Yeah.
houses
Mhm.
can
If only.
to build something larger. And I even go down on Town Street, when you get, the little Presbyterian man sits on 4 lots.
Mhm.
I mean, the day that they think Yeah, it does.
The white
The one up there?
No, the Presbyterian
here.
manse by the Presbyterian.
Down diagonally across from the park.
Diagonally across from the park, where Cooper's used to. live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's.
yeah, it's got a lot
Yeah,
of
that's a
open
huge
space.
park.
Yeah.
It's a huge park. That's
There's a
full
few
of
lots
folks.
behind that on
Yeah,
Griffith there.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of lots when you start looking on this end of town and when you get up to the other end of town, quite honestly, Third Street sort of got built out. Tommy sort of built out Third Street long ago, going up towards the Centennial Mill, but it got built in sort of low and tucked in.
Yeah.
It doesn't jump out at you. There's not as much infill to do. There's a bit on Fifth Street. And there's still some on Peter, but there's a ton to do here.
I like the 15-foot rear setback on there. So it kind of eliminates that big box on the, right on the back property line too.
Right, and I just, the other thing was that what I didn't know what to deal with was, so you've got these two lots and one of them's, oh, yes, I did. No, I didn't find, oh, yeah. Areas within lots which exceed 30% slope may not be included in the floor area ratio calculation. So you can't buy this postage stamp up against the mountain and say, but I got all these square footage.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. to include.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they'll say. I don't know what Martin will say. I sent it to him, no comment.
He's that
I
way.
sent it to a couple of ways.
So shall we make a motion to send this to the planning commission as our
nice.
recommendation?
One other possibility too would be from the rear setback to include a line that says if it's a certain height, this is how Boulder does it too. If you got a property line here that there's a taper so that you can't put a 30-foot tall wall right up on the property line too for the rear, so that prevents somebody from shading the entire lot behind them. Because like that original box they proposed was right at the 5-foot setback, building like a 30-foot tall wall that basically would have blocked all the sun from that lot.
I'm not sure I'm terribly clear.
So if you've got a property line here, you can say if you're 5 foot back, in this case, if you're 5 foot back, the maximum height is 12 feet or whatever, but then it has a taper, so that if you're 10 foot back, then it's 15 foot or whatever.
So he's using the grade as the measurement of the back setback.
So it doesn't block all the sun from the lots around you.
You're more technical than I am.
I think we've got.
But I think this is a good
Talks
start.
about views and.
Yes, we do.
things, So we can kind of. follow
Oh,
that.
views could fall in
Yeah,
that.
we can use that.
I make a move that if everybody's in agreement, that we send this as a recommendation to the planning commission.
Yes.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay.
We will do that.
All right. We have minutes.
That's these.
Yeah, I'm supposed to do a report.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't write it down. Go ahead.
So I'll make this short. I had an extraordinary experience going to the San Luis Preservation thing, which is, heading down to Santa Fe. I mean, you all know this,
Yes.
but it was a revelation to me. So I think that probably the biggest takeaways that I walked away from this intensive 2-day experience was, wow, how many lucky things we have in Georgetown that keep us alive. Because they are really, really struggling. In other words, they have a downtown that is very comparable in size to ours. I would say that 80% of the buildings are empty.
Was this Alamosa?
San Luis,
San Luis.
Oh, okay.
even further south.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's the oldest town in Colorado.
yes, that's correct.
It's where the oldest church is, right?
That oldest
Yeah.
church is there
And
too.
it was really, I just come from West Point, where it's the Evans Project, and it's all during the Revolutionary period of America. But San Luis is named after Louis XVI, who was the king during the time of the American Revolution, which to me was like, wow. So all of these different European countries were coming into that area and taking part of it. And also, the American military has a really long history there as well.
Huh.
So it was so, I mean, forts, and there's even diaries written by Army officer wives about what it was like to live in that valley, you know, during this time period. So really extraordinary. Incredibly moving experience, because we had presentations from so many people in the town that are trying to save this. So you're on the main drag and you're heading to Santa Fe, and you have to take a sharp left and drive 12 to 15 minutes to get into San Luis. So as opposed to us, right, plop, you're right here. So that is an issue for them. Also, they have this very, very concentrated, compact sort of downtown area, which looks desolate, sadly. And they have all these extraordinary sort of ancient sculptures. I mean, they've got a lot going for it. But there's so much open land. I most of you have been there, right? And all of the different little towns or communities that surround it, that really, you know, would need the support of the downtown area, are all highly dispersed. So they have got a lot of challenges, but they've got a young group of people there that are really trying to make an effort. And I did say to them, you know, if you'd like to come to Georgetown, I think it would be so significant for you to see what the mix is of retail, if you will, that we have on our main street. Because there's sort of no rhyme or reason to it. You know, there's like a little coffee shop here, then there's 2 empty buildings, then there's a marketplace in the middle, a little market in the middle. But and they would take us up on that. So if you guys were supportive of that, I would really like to encourage some of these people who are really trying to keep this alive. I mean, you drive in there, you would drive right out. Because there's
nothing there.
There's very little there. But the history of that area is mind-blowing.
So how do you do it?
Yeah, so how do you do it? But, you know, we have, you know, the mining thing, you know, everything circulates around that. And
I think the Georgetown Loop is probably the single biggest contributor to why we're still here.
yeah. And so we've done such a wonderful job over the years of incorporating our history. And they haven't really got a grasp on how to integrate that. So I think we could be a place that would, I don't want to say teach them a lot, but if they could sort of see this and see what a small downtown, which is very similar to their downtown, would, you know, could look like. They don't have the I-70,
Yeah.
you know, it takes you 15 minutes to get there. And then when you get there, you're sort of driving in. But they have all these young people who are like buying up buildings and wanting to restore them and so on and so forth. I'll tell you one thing they have that's exceedingly impressive is their school system. Believe it or not. All of the schools are in one big building. And it's a pretty significant building, and it's really beautifully designed. And they are doing, we had presentations from the principal of the school. They're doing extraordinary things with the kids in that school, especially in the area of ancestry, documentary ancestry. And I mean, they have all these creative projects that the children are so involved in, children, high school, all the way down to first grade. And so there's a potential there for them to ultimately succeed. But, boy,
Are most of their young people leaving then when they get out of school?
well, it's very interesting, yes. But you can tell that there is this core of younger people who are really trying to develop it.
Yeah.
You know, one of these younger people, I'd say she's in her middle 30s, has just bought one of the big Victorian houses, and she's going to make that into a bed and breakfast. And then you have another family of Spanish origin who have 5 daughters, and they are taking over one of the historic buildings downtown, and are going to renovate all of that. And they have created a pretty strong relationship with, you know, the Colorado Preservation. I was just gobsmacked. And then we had tours to all the old churches that they have.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just amazing. And so, I had a great experience. I mean, if somebody, you know, says again, attend one of these conferences, none of you guys raise your hand.
All right.
This was CPI on the road?
Yeah, right, and
Yeah,
it's
I've never done
great.
that.
I mean, it's a great concept. They put you out there. 2 major things that they're dealing with. Some billionaire who's just bought 70,000 acres and fenced it all off. So like, even when they go to their cemetery, their ancient cemetery, yeah, they've got a big wire fencing that's blocking off this.
And he's non-friendly billionaire?
He's not friendly,
The worst.
Harrison is his name.
Well, they need to
Friendly
deal,
billionaire.
yeah, they need
Yeah.
to deal with him a little bit about relations and stuff.
Right, and then the other issue that they are dealing with is all of these families who have lived there for centuries in some cases.
Yeah.
And have all had the water running through their backyard. Well, now they can't access any of that water. Because all that water is going to Arizona, you know, Mexico, whatever. I mean, the water thing is, as we all know,
That's the water.
unbelievable complex. But to go, we actually went to one of the houses of this extraordinary woman who gave us the tour, who's probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years older than I am. But she was, you know, just absolutely dynamic. And when we were going to all these different places, she said, well, you can stop at my house if anybody needs to use the bathroom. So we had like, you know, 20 people on the bus. And so we go to her house, and she has this beautiful, there's a word for it, starts with A, something, of the water running through the backyard. And yet, you know, they can't access that. And so there's it's pretty extraordinary problem that they have. But I met many fascinating people, and so many people who are working on historic preservation in so many different locations. And I actually was sitting next to a woman who came over to me because I must have said something about West Point. She came over to me and she said, well, my husband graduated from West Point. So, you know, West Point graduates about 1,200 people a year for the last, you know, no centuries. So I said, oh, really? What year did he graduate? Well, she was the second wife. I'm gonna make this fast, but it's an interesting story. So she said, well, he went to Vietnam at the height of Vietnam. And I said, oh, well, that would have been the class of 66, 67, or 68. My husband was class of 70. A lot of them went to Vietnam, but not like
The 60s.
I mean, they were just wiped out.
Yes.
And I said, so what, do you know what company he was in? Because there's like 45 companies, right? Of making up 20 people. All right, long story short, her husband was a senior in my husband's company. And, you know, he graduated like 70, 66, and Don was 70. So he was a plebe. And this guy had a big reputation for like allowing the plebes to come into his room and fall out. It's called fall out. Like, you know, like be formal, you could blah, 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 blah. But he was really very highly traumatized by his experience in Vietnam. And I said, well, we have to get together. And it was pretty poignant because I got an email from her and she said, well, he's very anti-war. And he was very traumatized by his Vietnam experience. And, you know, he doesn't want to get into a discussion, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's gonna be okay because John and I are like really anti-war.
Yeah.
You know, very liberal, blah, 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 blah. But of all of the places I could be.
San Luis to find something. Yeah.
And they live in Pueblo, so we are going to see them. It's just like weird.
Yes.
It's cosmic.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, that's my fast report. Thank you. But it was-
Yeah,
it was great.
no, that's nice.
Absolutely.
Thank you for going, because
Oh my God.
first of all, even to support CPI, who really are out there on state levels and, you know.
Yeah, I'm very
We have
impressed.
tax credits, we have all kinds of
Very
things out there
impressed.
because they're out there doing
Yeah.
this. But that, San Luis is just.
Yeah,
You didn't know you were out for a
You know,
lifetime
Amazon
experience.
books coming through the door, you know, like, oh my God, Louis the 16th.
Okay, we
Thank
have
you.
minutes?
We do have minutes from August 11th.
So Jennifer, you can tell them.
I will.
Yeah, tell me, under the Excel update, I
Yes.
said about removing I said Guanella Pass Dam, but I'm sure that's not the name of it. Does it have a name?
Yes, the Fort Bay Dam,
I spell
for F-O, like foreplay.
Oh, yeah.
You got it?
Does that happen up there at the dam?
Yeah, for sure.
You want the latest report on Excel? That was just funny, but yeah, that's what they call it. And the elimination of the Georgetown Hydro District, yes. The town is going to be a consulting party on the first memorandum of agreement. We probably should put this down. On Excel, town will be a consulting party on the first memorandum of agreement one, MOA one, having to do with the penstock. The town will be a signatory on the MOA for decommissioning the hydro district. Which means they don't get to play unless we sign.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean we won't sign, but it does mean we can talk a
It
lot.
means we have some teeth.
Yes, that means we have some.
Is it, did you make that happen?
What?
Did you make that happen?
I just talk a lot.
Good job.
And that would be a yes. Make her start talking, they said, okay.
The other thing is we had Mike Huggins on for we tabled it until the next meeting. And so we have to remember,
But he never resubmitted.
I get that,
Yeah.
but we have to, if we table and we don't do anything, so he has to go on the next agenda, even if he doesn't submit,
Okay.
because we have to take an action.
Okay.
I mean, at that point, we have to reject it and let him
Yeah.
resubmit
Okay.
when he wants to, but we can't leave it tabled or our time runs out and he gets to do what he wants to do automatically.
Good to know.
So I don't
Okay.
want our time to run out.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other changes?
No, but nobody did anything about Sean's dumpster issue, so I hope Sean will start to be an ag.
I will start.
Works to me. Okay.
Been a little busy this week.
I move that we approve the minutes with the corrections noted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All right. Yes. Well, that's adjourned.